Get ready to take a flamethrower to the official narrative and learn what the elites don't want you to know. You're listening to the Tom Woods Show.
Hey everybody, Tom Woods here. It is episode 2571 of the Tom Woods Show, and I am delighted to be joined today by two guests who have both either educated, actually they have, both of them have both educated and enriched me. And I don't mean enriched simply in the philosophical sense, but I mean literally as in the bank account sense. The first one is Paul Counts with the headphones of Marketing Counts. Paul co-directs my mastermind program, woodsmastermind.com. We work very closely together. He is the seventh great-grandson of Patrick Henry, as it turns out. He's been doing work in this area of entrepreneurship and marketing for about a quarter of a century, even though it looks like he's about 17. I always say that, poor guy. But I'm very glad to have him here. And then, of course, the great, the irreplaceable Ben Settle of bensettle.com, which I highly recommend. Ben taught me everything I know. All you people who are getting my emails, that wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for Ben. I wouldn't be as good at it. I wouldn't be sending you as many of them. I wouldn't be mutually benefiting us, us both, if it weren't for my learning this all from the great Ben Settle and being a subscriber for heaven knows how many years, Ben, to your monthly print newsletter email players. And I also, the things I pay you for. I mean, I use your what's the learnistic thing for my app, for my school life thing. And I mean, it's just wild. So Ben and Paul, I'm really glad to have you guys here.
Thank you, Tom.
Great to be here. Thank you.
All right. So what I wanted to do is dig in a little bit further into this Donald Trump story, because this isn't like just another, another story, another presidential election, Bob Dole versus Bill Clinton. No one's going to study that in the future. Why would they? But this thing is just incredible to me, and particularly, of course, the result, because we have a guy who, unlike anybody in American history, and not just American history, the history of many, many countries combined, was demonized, slandered, attacked, assaulted. They're trying to take his money away. They're trying to take his property, his freedom even. They're trying to prevent him from getting his message up. Unbelievable. At every turn, they go after him. And the SOB ends up winning anyway. And I feel like there are lessons here. There are lessons. It's not just interesting for historians. It's interesting for human beings. Interesting also, though, for people in business and marketers, because if that guy wins the presidency, there have got to be lessons to learn here. And I feel like, Ben, Paul is kind of like the guy. Sometimes in your newsletters, you'll talk about something and you'll say, you could probably test that. And then you'll admit to us, I probably wouldn't test it because I'm too lazy to do it. But in principle, you should probably test it. Paul's the guy who actually does the testing and he measures and he does it. So you guys are perfect. Like Ben, You're like the big picture guy, and Paul is the very much in the weeds guy. And I thought both of you would be helpful on this. But Ben, let's start with you. I know that you're not, primarily political, but you don't exactly hide in your email players, marketing newsletter, what your sympathies are. So were you actually watching the results come in on election night?
No, I actually fell asleep. I haven't really. To me, it's just a circus, man. Like I don't take any of this stuff seriously because I'm glad he got in there. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, I have so little control over this kind of thing that I'm just looking at, okay, if candidate 1 wins, what's going to happen to my business, my life? Candidate 2 wins, what's going to happen? I'm totally cool either way. Had Kamala won, I can just tell you right now, I would have been just as excited about business and especially trading options and that sort of thing, even more so. But now that Trump won, it's like, oh, now my regular business is probably going to do a lot better now because people aren't so scared anymore, right? And there's not going to probably be as bad of inflation in the future, I don't think, at least. We'll see. But so to me, I'm just indifferent, man, for the most part. I mean, I was rooting for Trump. I was expecting Kamala. I was surprised, man. I'm like the worst predictor. I thought this was going to be another hanging Chad thing, man. From like year 2000, that would just play out for one.
Well, I woke up, I just told the story. I woke up with a bad feeling that day. So when the return started to come in, I turned off my phone. Wife and I went out for dinner. I left the phone off, but doggone it, you can take the guy out of the election returns, but you can't take the election returns spiritually out of my head. So I finally said to her, turn the phone back on and text my friend and find out what the hell's happening here. So anyway, Paul, I already know all your opinions because I text you all the time.
Oh yeah. No, you know where I stand, but I like Ben, honestly, had Kamala gotten in, it would have actually changed my business in the sense of a lot more people would have wanted to know how to make money online because the economy would have been really hurting for them. Whereas like with Trump in, I'm probably going to be focusing more on business clients and more high net worth. And that's just how my business has gone. Every time a Democrat's been in office, soon after that, everybody wants to know how to make money online more than ever. And this industry like jumps back up. So like Ben, I would have been fine either way. But watching this happen, and I think a lot of people in the country thought there's not a chance Trump's going to win. I actually felt pretty confident he was going to win. What I was shocked about was how far he won by it. Because when I looked at it from the marketing angle, I was like, the only way he's not going to win is it's going to have to be, stolen from him. Because the way he marketed this was absolutely genius. Pure genius.
Well, Ben, you talk a lot about in your newsletter these days, you talk about world building. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's way beyond just strategies for sending emails now.
Yeah.
And I read what you write and I kind of think to myself, I think I've kind of done what Ben is talking about. But do you think anything you've been talking about that can apply to Trump?
I think Trump is, he's like a platform unto himself, right? He is transcended list and all that. He is the media, right? He has inserted himself into everyone's head. There's no way you can cancel this guy. None. No. Even if he was shot and died, he'd still be bigger than ever right now, right? He would just been he just would have been a legend at that point, right? Well, he transcends it all. He transcends marketing. This guy used to be an ambulance chaser for media. I think that's kind of, if you really look at it, right? He used to pick fights with Rosie O'Donnell and all that, right? He would pick fights with people. He doesn't have to do that now. They all come to him. He is the center of everyone's like psyche right now. And I don't know how to engineer that, but I do know that is like as high a level as world building as you can get.
Yeah. He's created such a, it doesn't matter. Everybody says there's no such thing as bad PR. Trump is the master of proving that point in his case. Like his name comes up everywhere. Like he's the hottest topic everywhere, left hates him, right loves him. I mean, it's like, and he's created there's nobody in the middle on him. I think that's what's important. I think as a business owner, like my business started to take off when I started to take a hard stance and be more direct about like in my business about agencies suck, Goobers suck, whatever. I started taking that approach. My business took off in a different way, right? And I think too many times if you try to pander down the middle, it doesn't work. And Trump was so genius at the fact that people either love the guy or they hate him. I don't think there's a middle person on Donald Trump, in my opinions. But either way, they're both talking about him. So,
well, that's why I had trouble understanding who the hell these undecided voters are. I
know, me too. Me too.
You haven't figured out where you stand on Trump after 8 years? I don't know. I just can't. But then, Ben, did you see that people were Googling, the people the day of the election were Googling who is running for president? They somehow blocked themselves off from reality that much that I mean, it's one thing to type in who's in the World Series, maybe you're not following baseball. Fair enough. But this is like, as you say, he's permeated every single aspect of our life. But now here's the thing though. I thought, and I'm always happy to be proven wrong. I don't have to be infallible. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I thought that even though those quote unquote felonies that he's got, like we all know it's BS. I mean, anybody with a brain realizes that was just, he made them mad. And so they went after him,
Oh yeah.
But I thought, nevertheless, though, you can still very technically call him, and did they ever call him a convicted felon? I mean, that would be a great drinking game. Every time you hear that. But my question is, I thought like soccer moms would be really repelled by that I don't care what excuses you make. He's a convicted felon, and I'm a soccer mom. I don't vote for convicted felons. I thought it was going to hurt him to the point where it would make him unelectable.
No,
And boy, was I wrong. Well, why do you think that is?
It's the opposite. Well, because, I don't know if you guys want to delve into this in this video, but women love that, man. They love the guy.
It's
like
true. They do. They love the bad guy.
And then, the wine ants that were going to go for comp. I mean, she's so dumb. I mean, of course, the wine ants, she sounds like a wine ant. She sounds like one of them. And I was even telling my list, look, watch, wine ants, I can understand why you would vote. She's one of you, right? But the regular, like most women, they love that. They like a guy of high status who's contrarian, who doesn't give a crap what anyone thinks. I mean, we can say a lot of things about Trump. He does not care what any of us think. And that's a gift. I mean, that's something that, some of us have to will that, right? We have to try to be that way. He's just like that, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because on the one hand, you do get the sense that he genuinely appreciates the warmth that his supporters have for him. So he appreciates being loved by them, but he is completely at peace with not being loved by everyone. And yet that motivates so many people. They just want to be loved and they want to be popular. And he is more than content with being really, really admired by some people and absolutely reviled by others. He's leaned into it and he's at peace with it.
Yeah, he's had no issues and he's constantly being talked about. And people love somebody with confidence and a clear message. And if you get that down from a business standpoint, nobody can touch you. You have confidence and a message and a clear vision. It's game over.
Hey folks, Tom Woods here with the latest headline from Obvious Magazine. The more politicians fiddle with healthcare, as with anything else, the worse it gets. You know it and I know it. You look at American health insurance and it's an absolute mess. And that's no secret. It's expensive, it's frustrating, it's not getting any better. And you think there has to be some alternative out there. Surely some clever people have figured something out. Well, as a matter of fact, the clever people at Crowd Health have figured something out. It's not health insurance. It's a better way to pay for healthcare through crowdfunding. For $175 for an individual or $575 for a family of 4 or more, you'll get access to a community of people who are willing to help out in the event of an emergency. You'll get access to telemedicine visits, discounted prescriptions, and so much more. You don't have to worry about doctors' networks. Let Crowd Health help with your healthcare needs. Get started today for just $99 a month for your first 3 months. Go to joincrowdhealth.com and use code WOODS. Crowd Health is not insurance. Learn more at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com. And remember, code WOODS. Now, we saw in this election, more than ever before, the full illustration of something that I think we've kind of thought in the back of our minds, which is that the conventional media is on its last legs.
Hopefully.
And boy,
they better be.
I beg your pardon?
Hopefully.
Yeah, we can hope.
I hope you're right about that. I really do.
Well, but consider the role that Joe Rogan played in this election.
Yeah.
And these other shows, like nobody would stop everything they're doing to go talk to Anderson Cooper, but you would go to talk to Joe Rogan. So the question is, did Kamala? Of course, her people are all trying to figure out what went wrong. And since they've ruled out that she said the wrong things or held the wrong opinions, they've ruled that out. So it has to be some technique or some mistake she made. So some of them are saying she should have gone on Rogan. But yet, on the other hand, my friend Dave Smith was just saying on his show, he was saying, if I were advising Kamala, I would have said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You should absolutely not because Rogan's going to embarrass you, because probably he would have been fairly gracious to her, but because you're not capable of doing that.
No.
You don't come off well. You can't defend any of your positions, even if he asks you a friendly question. So you should not do it. And yet I understand why her supporters feel like in retrospect, maybe she should have. I think that was actually a smart move. So what do you guys think?
I honestly, in hindsight, it wouldn't have hurt.
Yeah, it wouldn't have hurt.
That's right. It sure wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Might as well try.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well go for the touchdown pass because I don't think it would have done her any. I mean, she's just not that intelligent. I mean, she just can't articulate things, and she doesn't have a point of view. We're still waiting for her to answer the first question from the debate.
Yeah, she still hasn't answered that. And like the thing is, like she invests. So Trump focused on earned media, right? So I saw Trump make a tweet because the Kamala campaign was $20 million in debt now at the end of their campaign, right? Some crazy amount. And they raised $1 billion. Trump's campaign spent $337 million on ads and marketing and all this. And this is just his campaign alone. Hers did over $1 billion and still lost, right? And a lot of his focus, he even said it himself, we focus on earned media. He'd focus on the Joe Rogan show. They focus on podcasts, YouTubers. He was constantly on other people's shows, leveraging what I love to call OPA, right? Other people's audience. There's no better way to get a recommendation or a conversion than somebody else endorsing you. And what I think this showed people is that everybody talks about like Instagram influencers and paying for Instagram ads and all this, like from an influencer. Nobody cares about that kind of like sponsored advertising because as much when it comes to like Instagram, like people don't respond like they used to because like she paid Oprah $1 million. She paid these different celebrities millions of dollars and they did not get the ROI for her. Whereas Trump went on a free platform, they didn't charge him for it. And he would go out there and just, make a killing in front of his base because people are tuned into shows like yours, Tom, and they trust you and they get to know, like, and trust you. And there's no trust factor left in the media. So that's why these traditional things are going to work and work well. And I think this proved that celebrities, nobody cares what they think. Nobody cares about paid influencers. They care about following somebody that they can trust. And that showed more in this election than anything I've ever seen.
So you would say Oprah was more valuable than Oprah.
Yes.
Yes. Darn right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely
100%.
so. But this is also an interesting distinction between a couple of guys I also like for various reasons, Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis. DeSantis ran a very conventional style campaign, whereas Vivek sought out libertarian podcasts that no presidential candidate had gone on before. And he went on with me, but I've had Vivek on 4 or 5 times. He went on with Dave Smith, Luke Rudowski, names that are familiar in my circles, but not nationally known because no one had bothered. We were just completely untapped resource. No one even bothered to talk to us. Whereas DeSantis, they put him on all the usual outlets that already knew everything about him. They never even considered booking him with any of us. And so that gave Vivek an opportunity. I mean, Vivek had no name recognition. He has a weird name, hard to pronounce. Everybody mispronounces it. DeSantis is the most famous governor in the U.S. So he had to be creative, and I think that kind of thing is gonna pay dividends. But also, Paul, you're talking about the money spent on TV ads.
Oh,
now I rather like the direct response style.
Yes. Oh, I've got some
I send an
that.
email and with a link to an offer, and then I can track, did anybody go for it? Whereas just putting a billboard up saying Tom Woods is a great guy, I don't know how that does anything for me. And I think the same thing for some of these TV ads. People, I think, have kind of tuned them out the way they tune out the side effects in pharmaceutical ads. They just tune them out.
Oh,
whereas
100%.
J.D. Vance going on Rogan, I beg your pardon?
I was going to say, I think the Kamala ads were so bad, though, that,
they gave it a net negative?
Like the creepy guy watching the guy watching porn. He's like fapping to porn, saying he's going to take your porn away. I mean, it was entertaining like Saturday Night Live, and it's like they're memorable, but not in a good way, right? Like
not positive.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing when it comes to ads, and maybe we're going to get to this, but you talked about direct response, and people consider social media ads as some form of direct response, right? The Harris campaign, they spent $113 million on Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. Trump campaign spent $17 million. And what's really interesting, they did the study, because you can get this straight from Meta's ad library. So somebody, fortunately, I didn't do this. They did all the research, and 38,000 of her ads had no call to action in them. 38,000. Only 3 of Trump ads that he ran had no call to action. So meaning she ran a bunch of like useless ads on Facebook that went to basically just an article that had no CTA to it. It had nothing tied to it. Whereas Trump focused on keywords like rally. 20% of his ads were focused on the term to get people to go to a rally, to build that trust factor up. Only 1% of Kamala's campaigns were spent on that. So like you can start to see he was just more strategic with the spend. I mean, it's embarrassing that they had $1 billion and they had such a pathetic outcome from a marketing standpoint. But it proves you don't have to spend money to make money. You just have to be smarter than everybody else. And I like to say it, one of my quotes is, blind squirrel finds a nut some of the time, right? And if you give anybody $1 billion, sure, they're going to get a few people in front of you. But what really is smart is if you can take $10,000 and make that into something that makes money, right? That's genius marketing. Like spending $1 million on an ad isn't genius if you're not getting the result, because somebody's going to convert off that. So this proved that more than ever, that call to actions are so important in business too. Why did her campaign not even use calls to action? It's crazy.
Well, I want to know why they didn't use email more. And in fact,
Right.
not just her campaign, but everyone going back to 2008, Obama did it masterfully.
Yes, he did.
I mean, I did a whole email players issue just because, I don't like the guy, but he did a good job with email. They raised like $600 million just with email. And in today's money, that's almost $1 billion just with the email.
Mm-hmm.
And you
So
think
true.
that, she's got Obama out there talking. Well, why didn't she tap him for some like ideas? Like, what did give me your email team or something? They didn't bother.
That's a really smart point.
Thank you.
So true. I mean, email is everything for these guys. They forget that they're sitting on this huge asset too. The amount of data they have, the amount of text messages too that I got. But I think they missed the boat big time because they were focusing on texting more than they were emailing. And honestly, I was tuning out the text, and the emails I would have opened. But I got so many political texts, it was ridiculous because it's overused now. And I think they got bad advice. It should have been doing email.
Well, I think those texts universally, regardless of what side you're on, people were complaining about how annoying they were.
Yeah.
Horrific.
Nobody
Yeah.
like text spam is worse than email spam. That's for sure. Like it's
Oh,
1,000
so much.
times worse. Like it just makes you want to get a new phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'll do the
100%.
next election. I'm just going to get a new phone number every 4 years. I'm getting a new phone number. That's it.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I look at text, but I feel like texting is like for my family and my close friends. So if there's somebody who like just got my number, he's already texting me, I feel like I don't even know you. Like, get out of this. This is like my inner sanctum right here. You don't belong there. So certainly not, Kamala Harris telling me I have to avoid, make sure we don't elect Hitler. Isn't it funny looking at these pictures of Joe Biden smiling happily, sitting next to literally Hitler?
There had to have been, when his Jill or whatever his wife is wearing red on election day.
That was a sign. I was pretty sure I knew who she voted for at that point.
I mean, come on, this was the fun. I mean, I went to bed early, but the election itself, I'm going to miss this whole election. This was awesome. It'll never be this cool again, probably in my entire life. So,
Talk about email fodder too. I mean, this election was ripe for that.
Oh, and by the way, anytime I mention Trump in a subject line, I get way more, opens. Now look,
Polarizing.
those emails are no better. For any of you who are on my list, those emails are no better than the other ones are just as good. You should be opening them all. But that one, now, I understand, I totally hear you, Ben, that Trump is a phenomenon unto himself, and you cannot duplicate, his path to where he is now. But nevertheless, there must be bits and pieces of how he operates that we can nevertheless learn from. Like, what would you think an example of that would be?
I will give you an example going back that I heard over 20 years ago. But if Trump does not describe what I'm about to say, nobody does. So many years, this is like 20 years ago, Gary Halbert was being interviewed in this tape about how to prosper during a rotten economy. No, actually, it was a different one. It was before that. But anyway, he was being asked by John Carlton, another copywriter, about the go-to guy, right? Now, the go-to guy, imagine that a task has to be done. You don't know what the task is. You don't know if you're going to need money. You don't know if you're going to need physical strength. You don't know if you're going to have to kill somebody for this task to get done. But if this task does not get done, your son or daughter is going to be, decapitated in front of you. It's like the stakes cannot be higher, right? You're in this horrifying situation. You cannot do this task yourself, though. You have to pick someone to do it. And that would be your go-to guy. The go-to guy is someone, not all of us have one, by the way. I don't even know if I do. But the go-to guy is like the guy who's not coming back unless that mission is accomplished, right? And I've been like The Godfather would be, for example, from the movies, or Fidel Castro. You don't have to like them. In fact, most go-to guys are not likable. They're often sociopathic, right? They will do what it takes. Jack Bauer from 24 is a go-to guy. Rambo is a go-to guy, right? We're talking like extreme mentality. And I see Trump as a go-to guy. Like, if he has someone that someone needs to get something done, Trump's going to go get it done, or he's not coming back. Like, look what he was his own go-to guy, right? How this guy won, I'll never know. Like you were talking about, Tom, like everything was against him, but he's a go-to guy, man. This guy is not going to quit. He's not. In fact, I think he gets strengthened by the more dire the situation, the more excited he gets about being in that situation, and he does his best. During peacetime, guys like him don't do that well. They're bored, right? They self-sabotage. During times of war, battle, strife, where things are, the stakes cannot be higher, that's when you want a guy like Trump in there.
Hey, everybody, this is not a sponsor message. I just wanted to remind you, first of all, that my Christmas party is coming up December 7th. It's about 35 minutes southeast of the Orlando airport, and it's a wonderful time. A chef prepares dinner for everybody in our own kitchen. I have several minor celebrities who are going to be coming, and it's just a wonderful night to get to know a lot of really great people. You can be yourself. You don't have to watch what you say, and everybody raves about it. So I hope you can attend. It's a benefit enjoyed by members of my Supporting Listeners program. Now, I have supported people on Patreon in the past, and I've been very happy to do so. But supportinglisteners.com beats the heck out of any Patreon you've ever contributed to. Because how many of those people are inviting you to a Christmas party? Or how many, instead of having you look at a godforsaken screen 24 hours a day for their content, are also mailing you in the physical mail a print newsletter like this one, 16 pages. This one's 20 pages. You get that in the physical mail, and it's not just the same things I send in my email newsletter. It's all fresh content, not seen anywhere else, just for you, nice and hot. So for a change, you can be old school. Remember, we were old school, right? We liked reading physical things. Well, ain't no podcaster or any Patreon sending you a physical newsletter, or for that matter, inviting you to a murder mystery dinner party for free. I have several of them lined up for around the country with many more to come. The one in New Orleans still has plenty of spots available, and you can pay to attend these murder mystery dinner parties, but you don't have to. Just be a supporting listener of the Tom Woods Show. You get that for free. Not to mention my censorship-free Tom Woods Show elite group. It is the best possible supporters program in the world, and you're part of a community that you just can't beat. So check it out at supportinglisteners.com, and before you know it, you will be holding in your hands one of these right here. Supportinglisteners.com, and thank you very much. I think he ran initially. I mean, he believes what he says. I believe he believes what he says, and he thought that big changes needed to be made. But I think a big chunk of why he ran was that he'd had it all. He was bored. He had done what more could he do?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's a real estate magnate. He's a zillionaire. He's traveled the world. He's met world leaders and celebrities. He's had his own hit TV show. What else can he get? He's chased an assailant with a baseball bat and was reported in the New York Post. I mean, what's left? I guess I have to be president.
Remember the 2020 election? Shortly before that election, I remember someone did a YouTube video he's not satisfied with Earth. He's got to go conquer another planet. So he's out there in a spaceship taking over other planets, and so every guy just needs to keep conquering or something.
No, he's got a mentality very few people have. I mean, I liken him to the phoenix everybody talks about, right? He rises from the ashes. I mean, he gets put down, he rises up again. He can make a movement out of anything, and that's a very, it's just he's strong and he's confident. I mean, that's attractive to people. But I don't think there's many people like him that can go sit in court and then go to a rally the same night. Like, it's wild to me.
Yeah. Or get shot at, and then an hour later, he's doing whatever. It's like
there was serious speculation that he was going to fly to, now what is the thing that Joe Rogan does? That he was going to fly to some fight that same day.
Oh, the UFC?
Yeah, UFC, right. And people were saying, I think he's going. He ended up not. But the fact that we were even thinking he might get shot and still go.
And his enemies, the left, they cannot fathom someone being like this. So it must have been staged. Like their brains can't comprehend it. So they have to twist things around. It must have been staged. Like the impossibility of that is just, insane.
For anybody here that, what got me is I think the left actually hurt themselves in so many ways, right? Because the media went after Trump, and what ended up happening is it strengthened Trump's base even more. So every time they attacked him, they got more, the right got more excited, more passionate, and more ready to go to war for him. So they
the
hurt
concern
themselves.
I had was, is the base big enough
Yeah.
for just building up the base to be enough of a strategy?
Well, he got a lot of the left on his side too. In fact, I was making jokes about how it's like Rocky IV, where Rocky's fighting Drago, and suddenly the Russians are chanting Rocky's name. It got to that point. I mean, did you ever think that Kennedy would be in his administration? Or, I mean, like, we just live in weird times, man. It's all
we
and that is an incredibly gutsy appointment. Like I was not thrilled with his initial appointments, but I have to admit, this took guts, because there is so much money wrapped up in bad health advice, in the medical establishment, in bad food.
Oh yeah,
there's so much money in that, and of course they'll dress it up as we're just concerned about public health. Yeah, sure you are. So putting him, that is like he's burning the whole thing down. This is his scorched earth appointment. It's incredible that he did that. And I was hearing a lot of black-pilled people saying, oh, he's going to stiff RFK. RFK's not even going to get anything. He's just window dressing to get votes. Well, not true, apparently. He gave him the prize. And he, in turn, will appoint, RFK will appoint the director of the National Institute of Health. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible.
I don't know. You go from
seismic.
You go from health being controlled by a man in a dress to RFK. It's like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I've seen the memes about that. Those are fantastic.
Yeah, and this article came out today saying that a bunch of FDA employees are planning to quit over protest and RFK.
Like it was a bad thing.
This is awesome.
Idiots, like that's what we want.
Yeah,
that's going to save him a lot of time now.
Yeah, he doesn't have to weed them out. They don't even have to give him a pension at that point.
Or they're showing all the videos of people eating with masks on and all that, and saying, RFK, he's crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Wearing plexiglass for the restaurants and all. Yeah, he's the crazy one.
Yeah, he's the crazy one. Yeah.
No,
I'll never forget. I was in Virginia during this whole crazy thing, and we went into some deli, and they had these signs that were like insane, insisting that you had to wear a mask, insisting you had to wear it, and they don't want to hear any complaints. So we open the door. What the heck? The tables are 3 paces from the door, at which point you take the mask off. Like, are those 3 paces? I mean, what, are we all out of our minds? What's wrong with everybody?
Wesley, the younger, the sane Baldwin brother, the only one who's like sane, he goes, yeah, it's a good thing, it's a good thing in World War I when mustard gas was all over, they took their mask off at the beginning of the restaurant. So that thank God,
Good thing they had that advice.
I got to my table safely. That mustard gas is not making it to me. That didn't get me.
It's not getting me. And after midnight, I mean, gosh, it came out after midnight.
I remember hearing people saying that in the schools, maybe the kids, when the kids sit down at their desks, let's pretend they're in a restaurant so they can take their mask off once they're seated. And then, I don't know if I told you this, but we saw, I think it was 2021. So this was still a time when there were some places where venues were still closed. You could not go to see a comedian. But we went to see Rob Schneider, who was very good on this stuff. And we sat down, and he said, the management has told me that once you sit down, you can take your mask off. Now, obviously, the management told him no such thing. But what are they going to do? Pull him off the stage? What are they going to do?
Yeah.
He was daring them to do anything. And, of course, they didn't, because it made no sense. So once we're seated, we take it off. So a lot of people just took them off.
Didn't take into account different height levels too, Yeah,
right.
That's too logical. So
I think the taller people were in more danger, because
I
apparently that's where that's where it all is. So Ben, even though you don't follow this stuff probably with the fanatical devotion that I do, you obviously know about the McDonald's thing that Trump did.
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay. So again, as a guy who you're in the business of business, and you're in the business of marketing, but not traditional. I mean, you have your own way of teaching it and thinking about it. But in that context, what's he accomplishing with that? Because it seems like a brilliant move, but it's hard to pinpoint what is he accomplishing with that?
Well, he's showing the absurdity of everything. He's an entertainer. What do comedians do but point out the hypocrisy of everything, right?
Yep.
So when he did the McDonald's thing and he did the garbage thing, it's also really funny. You could say that, like the old pickup artist guys would say, he's a gradient amplifier, right? You just take what it is and you just do more of it, right? There's some of that to it. But he was just mocking the hell out of his adversaries. He was taking away all their power, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
They had nothing. What can they say to him after that? Nothing.
Made him powerless.
The best they could come up with was, that event at McDonald's was staged.
Yeah. It's like, don't you know? I was kidding. They don't understand. Their minds cannot understand this. And that is what is fun about messing with liberals, quite frankly. I got them on my list. I know you got to have them on your list. They're probably half your audience is probably to see how much madder you can make them, right?
Yeah.
So you might as well just mock them. Just mock them and monetize them because it's good sport for everyone else. You may actually change a few minds when they realize just how ridiculous they are, and you're getting paid. Everybody wins.
It's a great win.
Yeah.
As long as that came up, you have a book called Copy Troll. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. I am featured in it. That's one of my proudest.
Yes, you are. That was great. Talib, we miss him.
We miss him. That's right. We monetized the blankety blank out of that guy.
The house I live, I'm not even kidding you. The down payment was just from the sale I made off his stupidity.
Okay. All right. So look, I want to take a minute and have a little diversion here and have you talk about this phenomenon of monetizing your haters, because it can be done, and it is the most glorious revenge of all. People who hate you, but you make money off them. That is amazing, and I've done it a number of times. I've been slacking off lately. I haven't. I just blocked these people now. I should be monetizing them. Can you give an example of what that would look like? There are a million ways you could do it, but give us one.
Well, the easiest way that anybody listening to this can do, and you don't have to be a good copywriter, is just somebody trolls you, hates you, gives you a bad review, slanders you, whatever it is. You just have a sale in their honor. You use just a sale. The discount is in their honor. You can thank this person. You're not mean about it. With Talib, he was calling me a white supremacist. So I had the white supremacist sale on my Copy Slacker product. And people.
But you made it right. This WRITE supremacist, because you were a writer.
Making fun of it, right? And it's silly, right? And so we might as well just have fun with it. You did it. You did it. That's around that same time. I remember you said, I think it paid for a 5-star vacation.
Oh yeah. We went on a vacation. Yeah. So it was this Talib Kweli, who was he's like a not quite A-list rapper. And he had, I don't know if he's still there, but he had 1 million Twitter followers and 0 engagement, which you know what that means. These are not real followers. I was getting more engagement, and at that time, I didn't even have a tenth of that. I mean, I have a lot more now. But he was this guy, he was arguing, he thought the Berlin Wall was erected by the Nazis because they hated diversity. I'm not joking. That was what he thought. And so I have never been more relentlessly attacked by anybody. This guy, it's like, I don't know if he was on something or what, but he was attacking me and attacking, and I was a racist and all the usual, stuff.
Yeah.
Attacking.
You don't have an argument. That's what they go to. Yeah.
Well, then I went to bed and I woke up, and during the night, he had still been doing it. And so I said, all right, this is beautiful. I got to do something with this. So I had a 2-hour sale on one of my memberships, and you took X% off if you used, Quelly as last name or something as the coupon code.
And I hope he knew all about it.
Now, I have a friend who does, some of the listeners will know, I have a friend, Connor Boyack. He publishes a series of children's books that are wildly successful, that promote libertarian ideas. I mean, he's sold millions of them. And selling millions of books is extremely difficult. I mean, people who don't write books, they think that that's common. Oh, you probably sold millions of copies. You were on the New York Times bestseller list. That is not what that means. Very few people sell millions of copies, but he has. And CNN attacked him because his books were propagandizing young people, as if the entire K through 12 system isn't, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, exactly.
every book in the world, right? So
How many
it was
genders
a
are in my
CNN,
kid's school? Like ridiculous. Yeah.
it was a CNN attack. So he had a sale, coupon code CNN, made a fortune.
Perfect. I mean, it's that simple. It really is.
Yeah.
And people get scared of this. It's like, look, you don't have to engage with. In fact, I don't recommend people engage with trolls unless they have a bigger audience than you do. Like, if they do, great. You're only going to benefit. But you might as well just take it, use it, write an email, sell something, and profit from it.
Yeah.
It's genius. Yeah.
That is my resolution for 2025. I got to get back to doing that.
We got to get you
it's
some
fun.
haters. Man. We'll get you on the hater training. It's fine.
I got to
man.
get hated more. I promise. I've blocked
That's
all
why I
my
wanted
haters.
to be on this, Tom. I wanted more haters. Now I can have more fodder for my emails.
Well, maybe, if I start getting a bunch more, I'll say, I got all my ideas from this Paul Counts. Why don't you go bother him and see what happens?
there you go.
Well, okay, so now that is a technique in copy troll. Like, I call it the take the bullet. Like, you're not getting trolled. Go find someone who is getting trolled and jump in the fray. So they come attack you. And that could work very well too.
That could work too, yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
See, this is, I want to make clear so that everybody understands here. One of the many reasons I like Ben is that what he just taught you there is not in any college marketing textbook.
No.
There's no chapter on monetize your enemies, but it makes money. It makes more money than half the chapters in the damn book.
Absolutely.
Oh man, you can make so much off trolls and haters. And I mean, the problem is once you do it enough, they're on to you and they just stop. And that's probably where you're at right now. They just probably gave up. It's like, well,
it's a little bit of that, but some of these people though, they're so deranged upstairs that they don't make the connection. Like he's getting rich off me. Maybe I should stop. That's not enough to make them stop.
That's true.
It makes them angrier. They just keep going at you.
Yeah.
Twitter definitely proves that because you see they keep haunting the same tweets. Now they get monetized on their views and all that. And it's like, why are you feeding your enemies kids? It doesn't make any sense. Just mute them. Yeah.
Paul, I want to ask Ben one more thing.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with Trump, but now this is like a
keep
stream
rolling.
of consciousness.
I'm loving this. It's fun.
But I want to ask, I'm on, let's say, I'm on YouTube. I'm on, like, in terms of the video, like the podcasting and video sites, I have to be on them for my show. But I'm not on Instagram, even though I would like to share more photos. Like Twitter's not for that. Facebook, you can share some pictures, but then people start getting annoyed. But Instagram, that's what you're there for. Like, if you can't complain, like, why are you on Instagram if you don't like photos? But I feel like I'm not going to start from zero, and then the next, like 6 months from now, I'm at like 700. Like, I just don't have the energy to do this. So I'm only on Facebook and Twitter, basically. But I do feel like I benefit from that. And I've noticed that one way that I'm getting more people on my email list is now that my Twitter audience is about 200,000. When I post a good post on Twitter, a bunch of people who've never heard of me before, and you can see the analytics. Twitter is great about analytics.
Yeah.
You can see how many of them click through to your profile. Well, on my profile, I have, a link to an opt-in page. And a bunch of these people must be going and opting in because the more I post, the more people are on my list. So, but yeah, although you're back on Twitter, you basically just said to heck with social media, and yet you run a very successful 7-figure business, and you're defying every bit of conventional wisdom, including get on social media, try to get a bunch of likes. What can you just explain yourself here?
Well, I mean, I got mostly started before social media. So to me, it makes no, like, social media is great for list building, right? It's a tool. You can use it if you like it. There's a lot of things I don't like, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not on Facebook, but I kind of am. I am in the sense that there's 3 groups I'm part of. Like, we have one for my Berserker Mail group, and I have ownership in a newspaper in my state. I'm on that group, and a local group for my town. But nobody can friend me on there. I've made it so nobody can friend me. And so it's okay, right? I'm not seeing the nonsense on there, but I don't use it for marketing purposes. So besides that and Twitter, that's pretty much it because I like those two. I like those 2 arrangements. I could never get on Instagram because I'd be bored out of my mind, right? And I can't even keep up with all the other ones. I don't even know what they are. I seriously, we tried to get Berserker Mail on TikTok and they kicked us off because of a video clip of a video of one of my speaking engagements once. I don't even know what I said. So I know that's out. And, whatever, for whatever reason. But I never relied on it. It's just a way to potentially build a list. And that's not the only way. But if you're building a list from it, I mean, it's awesome. You should use it. And while you can. And, there's no guarantee that Twitter is going to be this friendly to marketers forever. Right?
Yeah.
Like Elon, he's human. Someone may come after him, right? And buy it from him or, put him in jail or something. We don't know. Or he might hire someone, a different CEO who's even worse than what they got now. And, who knows, right?
Yep.
We don't know. Like, you don't want to rely on it, is all I'm saying. But use it, but don't rely on it. So I've never really relied on any. And I'm an email guy. So I have my email list. I own that list. I own that audience. I can export it. If you can export it, you own it. So that's what I focus on.
See, everything Ben said is exactly what I teach right here, Tom. See
that graphic ball haunts my dreams.
It all leads to here, though. What I teach people is pick your platform and send them to your email list, and then you can email them.
Should lead to the list, right?
Right.
That's really what it comes down to, because that email list is the only thing they can't take from you.
That's exactly it. You know how many times we tell people, like, your Instagram, they think they're making it because they're like, I have 100,000 on Instagram. I'm you don't own that following, though. Like, that's Instagram's audience.
Look how many are bots. Like AOC just lost like 150,000 bots, right? Because she took her pronouns down or whatever. They weren't even real people. Like it's all a facade. I was talking to my friend. Now we both know Shane Hunter. He's a good friend of mine. And I've been talking to him about, I'm like, this can't last. Nobody's producing anything, right? It's like, I'm telling you right now, this is .com bust 2.0 coming, because nothing's being produced. Sock public level marketing, like you saw with Kamala.
Oh, gosh, terrible.
But this is most people on social media. They don't have a business. They have an audience. And if that gets taken away, they're screwed.
They don't even build their audience. I know even like Zig Ziglar, like they did not build an email list, off that. And they had 1 million plus on Facebook. And because, Zig Ziglar, the great sales guy, right?
Absolutely.
So they did not build an email list until it was too late. And it really hurt them, but they relied on, Facebook, and then Facebook decided, well, you can't reach your audience all of a sudden. So,
and that's the thing. Is like, people want to rely on algorithms. No, the thing is to make the algorithms chase you by building an email list. And if you want to send people to a platform for whatever reason, now the algorithms are chasing you, right?
Yeah.
Like, Tom, if you send people to your Twitter from your list, they're chasing you. Now, maybe not in a big way, but at least you're controlling the process and the narrative, which I like.
Yeah, this is big.
All right, one more thing, getting back to our original subject. One thing that this election shows is something we kind of knew, which is that money isn't everything.
Oh,
Kamala's got $1 billion. And I mean, I know Trump is in possession of $1 billion, but his campaign didn't have $1 billion.
No.
And didn't spend $1 billion.
Didn't have to.
And not only did he not spend that money, he also had, think of all the free publicity she got with all the favorable news coverage and all that. So it's way more than $1 billion.
Yeah.
And he spends, whatever, and then you have to deduct because like he has negative coverage, basically. Is that a generalizable principle that money isn't everything? And how can we apply that in a business context?
Yeah. Money is just, money's like it's only going to amplify whatever your strengths and weaknesses are, right? Or especially your weaknesses. And you just been handed money. You hadn't earned it. You didn't earn to get to that point where you figured out and traded it and it was just handed to you. It's almost guaranteed to be a failure. But if you started from nothing and worked your way up, you're going to know how to use that money way better than anyone else's. And I think it's the same thing with this. Trump's a businessman, right? He's been through this. He knew. Kamala, I know she came from a middle-class family.
Oh, is that so? I hadn't heard.
Or whatever. A middle-class family of communists or whatever. But I don't think she understood how that worked. I really don't.
Yeah, she didn't. And what's interesting about that point is, it's like, Tom, when I get in and start working with the business, the first thing I do is cut their marketing spend, because 99% of them are overspending and misspending. And I'll give you a great example. I took a screenshot of each of their issues pages, right, on their individual campaign websites to prove a point here. You go to Trump's website, it is copywriting gold in the sense of you get benefits right out of the gate, or at least ideas. Big ideas, bold ambitions, and daring dreams for America's future. That's Trump. You go to Kamala, a new way forward.
like the old way for.
Yeah, better than the old way, board. Trump gives you a clear example. And then Trump goes right into bullet points, rebuild the greatest economy, fair trade. She goes into this big, long, meandering paragraph about middle-class family and how she put scammers away when she was in office in San Francisco. So again, Trump had very clear, succinct messages that were benefit-laden messages. Kamala just had fluffy messages with no clear action, right? And that's why he didn't have to spend as much too.
Well, I think the reason, Paul, that some of these companies get scammed by bad marketing firms is that they have this idea that they need to be spending X dollars because that shows they're doing something.
Yes.
And when you come in and say, no, this money is, you're chasing, like this is you might as well be throwing this money out the window. It would be way better to cut that and do X and Y. It's weird. You've given me an example of a company that they did not want to hear that. They said to you, this is the amount we want to spend.
Yeah. No, they told me, we ran an event, and Ben, you'll appreciate this. So I filled an event. I worked with this big influencer. Was a CMO for a bit. And we filled this event, 3,500 people. And you know what we used to run his event? We did email marketing. We used OPA, other people's audience, so affiliates to fill it. And we spent $1,200 on ads. And he had somebody came into his atmosphere, and they started chirping in his ear and saying, well, Paul's not a good marketer. Paul's not marketing. He's not spending enough money. And so you know what he told me on the next event? I told him this is not going to work. I flat out told him it's not going to work. He insisted that I don't use his email list. Well, he insisted that I spend $100,000 in ads. I mean, the guy's a complete tool because somebody told him this, that marketing is only ads. And I'm like saying any idiot can run ads, right? It's somebody that can convert an audience. That's a winner, right? And not spend money too. And so we did his approach for a bit. That event only had 1,200 people on it because I went back to his email list, irregardless of what he told me not to do. He did not want to use his own inbuilt audience because somebody was chirping in his ear. It's unbelievable to me, the stupidity in the marketing world. How many people?
Man. That's because nobody worked the fundamentals anymore. They never had to learn it. You see these guys, any of these agency guys. You know what's funny is I was interviewed by this guy who teaches agency owners how to market their agencies, their advertising agencies.
Okay, yeah.
And I brought up Leo Burnett. He goes, who? I'm like, dude, how do you not know who Leo Burnett is? He's like the madman of mad. Like, these are the guys that built the agency business, right?
Yeah.
Like David Ogilvy. How do you not know them, man? He's like, huh? I'm like, do you guys not even know the history of like the thing you're in? And
they don't go back to the
No.
Yeah, they don't. And I understand like Leo Burnett maybe he's not as, he did like the Jolly Green Giant. He did a lot of that kind of stuff. But at least Ogilvy,
at least know those guys. Like,
have you even seen the show, Mad Men? I don't even watch it. But I'm just saying, like, these guys none of these guys know it. Like, they don't know marketing. They just know how to get on social media and talk, right?
Yeah, and talk or post.
Yeah,
post an ad.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know, but that's my opinion.
I'm with you on that. It's a disaster out there, and they think you got to spend money. And the problem is now they're realizing that their ads aren't getting the return they used to get. So now they're sitting there.
That's why I think it's going to collapse. I think it has to collapse. There's no way this can continue how it's been. This is .com crack. You guys heard me say it. .com 2.0 is coming up either this 2025 or 26.
Well, BMO, what's that going to look like? What specifically do you mean?
I think it's going to, I think there's going to be a lot less competition for those who know what they're doing because nobody's going to have the money to be in the game anymore. And I think a lot of these guys who I said this tongue in cheek a lot before, but a lot of these are younger guys and they don't want to get a job. They don't want to have to learn the hard way. They don't want to learn anything. And so they just jumped on Twitter or whatever and they started making a little money because they could, because everyone had access to credit and all that. And I always remember thinking, you guys better hope Kamala doesn't get elected because she's, half these cold emails in her inboxes are going to be gone because they're going to all be drafted for World War III, right? and so now with Trump in there, I don't know if that'll happen, but nobody's going to be buying this stuff that they're selling anymore because everyone's going to be burned at that point. Just like .com 1.0, you got a lot of dumb money being spent. So you talk about the client who just wants you to spend money. That's dumb money, right? And it cannot last. Eventually, everyone who's a founder in a startup, right? Everyone's a founder now. Most of them are going to be gone because they're just not going to be able to compete. So I think it'll be better for those of us who know what we're doing, but it's going to be really hard on those who don't.
Well, being in this business as long as I've been around, I know you've seen this, Ben, where it's like, I see so many people last 5 years and fizzle out and they leave the marketing game and leave this world, right? I mean, they're always leaving the game. very few people have stayed for years and still are standing, and it just gets less and less and less.
And I'll tell you what, you could see that trend from 2000 all the way to now. It happened again, around 2008 during that economic, and all that. You saw Google suddenly start slapping everyone, right? The Google slap.
Yeah,
and
Google slap.
People were making money hand over fist because they could put up a Google ad. Now they did nothing after that. I had a business. I was just starting a business in a side niche, and I was relying on SEO. This is 2011.
Okay.
And they decided to slap article directories, and all that work was for nothing. And that was a big lesson. Like, oh, I got to focus on my list, man, because this stuff can't count on it.
It can go. I mean, and that's where we're big on teaching SEO and doing it because it still works. But again, it's all about build that email list because
you
might
can't
wait
control
tomorrow. SEO's gone.
You can't control it. Use it I say use it. I mean, I'm being drained in Google. I'm glad, but I wouldn't rely on it, right? Like,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think I can't remember who said this quote, but is it Buffett? I don't know. But basically there's a quote about like when the tide comes out, you see who's got.
Who's naked?
Gotta butcher the quote.
A lot of naked marketers. A lot of naked. You're gonna see.
Yeah. I'm going to completely butcher a quote. I'm going to have to go watch this on YouTube to have somebody fill in that quote.
No, that's the quote. When the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming naked.
So that's what it is. Okay.
And that's happening. That's totally happening now, and I think it's going to get a lot worse. And, there's all these bubbles. You have AI as a bubble.
Oh gosh, it really is.
Influencer bubble, right? There's all these bubbles. There's just tons of bubbles. They're all going to pop. And it's going to be fun when it happens for those of us who know what we're doing.
Oh, I love when these things pop because I can be there.
The three of us will still be standing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to soak it all up. I think we'll be like in the catbird seat, guys like us.
Yeah.
But these people have never learned the bait. They don't even have an email list, much less know how to communicate with it. As the young guys would say, not going to make it.
Yeah.
I've been saying, and Tom can relate to this in our mastermind groups. One of the things I say is I tell them like, what was old is new again, in the marketing world. And we're watching it like Reddit is blowing up now. The forums are back. Warrior Forum is now ranking in Google. Constant Contacts Forum is ranking in Google. Where the old stuff is coming back.
Forum's coming back.
Which is crazy. They're like Donald Trump rising from the ashes.
Well, it's true. There's nothing new under the sun. I mean, everything's been invented in direct marketing. Google ads are just classified ads, right? Cold emails are just cold calling. A space ad, a web page is just a space ad. It's all the same stuff. Amazon, it's just the Sears catalog. You really think about it, it's the old catalog.
Point. That is a great point.
But it's funny is that sometimes because some of the old ways of doing things have actually been forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And so a clever online person will figure out how to take that offline thing and bring it online. So, for example, Marlon Sanders, whom I love.
Oh, yeah.
I first got hooked into him because I went to a sales page of his and I read it and I thought, this is a great sales page, but I don't need this product because I already know whatever the heck it was teaching. But then at the bottom, there was a link that says, click here if you've decided not to buy. So I thought, all right, I'll do it. So I clicked, it goes to a video. And what I love about Marlon is he has this cantankerous old man persona, absolutely perfected. And it's him talking about the benefits of the thing. And then he says, and if you decide you don't like it, and as he's finishing his last sentence, he's walking away. He's saying, there's a money back guarantee, and he's walking away. Like he genuinely does not care. And I thought, I'm going to buy this thing anyway. I don't even need it. And so anyway, I asked him about that later. I said, it was that technique. It was that link. Click here if you've decided not to buy. He said, where I got that from? There was an old technique, and I don't know the person's name, where in direct mail, you would get a mail piece with an offer in it. And then there'd be a little envelope that would say, open this if you decided not to buy. So he was taking it from that. And you would open it and it would say, dear friend or whatever, frankly, I'm surprised. I thought I had put together the best offer in the world. So I would be very grateful for your feedback. Could you just send me in this envelope how you think I could have improved that offer? And he says that somehow the act of like starting to write that, it gets you in the mindset of taking action. And it leads to greater conversions. He says, so all I did was I took that technique and I put it online.
Genius. Yeah.
All right.
It's genius. It reminds you of the old no thanks links that always went on old funnels, the old school funnels from HTML days.
I'm hoping the web goes back to all plain text. And we like to do these videos. We'll go back to teleseminars.
Attila seminars. Those are the days. I remember those. Those are
Oh,
fun.
geez. And, you didn't have to spend all your time figuring out algorithms instead of just doing your work.
Yeah.
You just built lists and mailed it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
It's really that simple. So
That's what's going to happen again.
He's made online to this day. Opt-in page, mail to an offer forever. And you just do that over and over and over and sell those buyers something else. And that's it. That's
But Ben, what's so funny, and then we'll wrap up, but is there's so many internet marketing products that are like, the name of them is something like the secret of blah, 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 blah. And then it's all blind copy. So you read the offer, you have absolutely no idea what the thing is, but you know that it's great. And then you buy it and it's build a list and mail it. Because there is no secret. It's build a list and mail it.
Yeah, the secret is there are no secrets. I had this old school European winemaker tell me this once when tasting at his thing. He's like, the secret is no secret.
Yeah.
Good soil, good berries. It's like, it's not.
Like, what would you think would make a good wine, right?
There's no secret ingredient. It's hard work, good soil, sun,
and, being consistent.
Yeah. Consistency. It's all that. It's that's all.
All right. As we depart, I want to say a couple of things about these guys. So Ben, first of all, as I said, I have just learned so much from Ben, and just doing the things that he recommends completely changed my life. I cannot give Ben a higher testimonial, and he doesn't need my crummy testimonial because he has testimonials from the greatest people in the world. If you go to bensettle.com, you'll see what I'm saying. But you should go to bensettle.com and opt in to get Ben's emails because you'll learn something. And maybe someday you'll start getting his print newsletter the way I do. So that's first thing, bensettle.com. Let's make it worth his while to have spent this hour on the Tom Woods Show. That's only fair. Go to bensettle.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate it. As I would tell Talib, as mighty white of you, I appreciate it.
That's just how I am. I can't be something I'm not. All right. And then Paul I don't know how this is going to appear on the screen. Paul is somewhere. Somewhere in the vicinity of where I'm sitting. But Paul, as I say, has been a trusted friend. We run a really good mastermind, like where people, it's not like there's a guy at the front of the room and everyone's taking notes. It really is the genuine, legitimate, old school mastermind of everybody putting their heads together and everybody moving forward together. And we had one guy at our last meeting in Boston. We do it in a different city each time. We had one guy saying, that business has really, really been going well. And somebody said, what do you attribute that to? He hadn't even finished saying the word attribute. And the guy said, Paul, because of what Paul does. So Paul's a big, big part of that mastermind. So check out. So Paul's also going to be on my cruise, which Ben would hate. So Ben does not want to be hanging around answering all your questions in person, right? So, but he's like Michael Malice in that way. But
even if I was there, I'd say, just email me your question.
Yeah, email me your question. That's right. Which I do, by the way. Once in a while, I do email you a question.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you're an email player subscriber, you can send Ben the odd question here and there. And my questions are odd, but he gives me straight answers. But TomWoodsCruise.com is the website for that. And then if you are among the elite, you'll know, like in your heart, was I born to be among the elite? You already know the answer to that question. Then woodsmastermind.com. So Ben, I just violated a rule. I gave out 2 links, but I feel like I can get away with it.
Well, the fact that one of them was mine, I'm cool, man. I think
that's right. 3 links, I guess. All right. Listen, thank you guys for this great conversation. I appreciate you both.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on. And it's good to meet you. And thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
My pleasure, gentlemen. I'm glad to had you guys make your acquaintance here today. And thank you all, ladies and gentlemen.
Make yourself and those you love less vulnerable to the regime, both mentally and physically. Get more forbidden information at tomsfreebooks.com and be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. See you next time.
Like the sound of The Tom Woods Show? My audio production is provided by Podsworth Media. Check them out at podsworth.com.